Hello and welcome to another RPG Architect tutorial. I'm Locke. You've been amazing. Good night. Alright, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually start. Something that's come up a few times and I think is worth actually talking about. Let's go ahead and talk about making a day-night system, right? So at some point, I'm going to support actually having scripts that run on a map. I may even have some that will run just concurrently in the background, like a system level script. We're not there yet, but at some point that'll be nice to have. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and make a day-night entity, right? So all scripts have to be run through entities. In this case, you see two entities on the map, and I could just create it at the map level, but I'd actually like to make it so it's reusable, so I don't have to keep doing it. So we'll go ahead and start here. So I'm going to call this day-night cycler. Okay. I'm going to create this script. Let's go ahead and maximize this. All right, so rather than having an interaction of player action button, I'm going to say it's automatic. So we'll call this, what will we call this? We'll call this cycle script. So we can go ahead and we're going to go ahead and create a variable. We'll use a global variable. We had all these ones, but I'm just going to go ahead and randomly create one here. Oh my gosh. Okay, 150. We'll call this, let's go and call this time. And we can go ahead and set the initial value to 0. And, you know, for the fun of it, let's go ahead and do hour and minute. Okay? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take this, chose the wrong one, time, and I'm going to go ahead and say time, and I'm going to add 1 to it. Then I'm going to wait, control flow, wait. Let's go ahead and say I want to wait 50 milliseconds. I'm not going to block input because that would make the game completely unplayable. This is good. So now our time is going to increment basically 1 minute every 50 milliseconds. And realistically, we could actually do it this way too. We can go ahead and do minute plus 1. Let's go ahead and do minute plus 1. And then we can go ahead and throw in a control flow condition. We'll say if, I'm just doing this on the fly, guys, so you know, it is what it is. I'm going to say if my minute, okay, is greater than or equal to, actually got to select it, it's greater than or equal to 60, then I want to increment the hour. So then I'm going to say data manipulation. Well, first I need to set my minute to 0. Perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and do change variable. I'm going to change my, let's see, hour. And I'm going to say add 1 to that. There we go. So we do this, we update the time, and then we wait 50 milliseconds. So now that I have that, this effectively creates our loop, but we also want to make sure that our hour doesn't go above 24. So we're going to go ahead and create one more condition. We're going to say if our global variable for hour is greater than or equal to 24, then we want to set our hour variable equal to 0. So we've effectively created a day-night cycle. You could also do this to keep track of the date as well. You could increment days and handle that. From here, we have everything all set up now. So this is good and should be running in the background. But we probably want to go ahead and create something that will actually show our time. So let's go ahead and create a user interface real quick. I'm going to call this my time HUD. So I'm going to add one more item to it. I said 1. There we go. There we go. And all this is going to do is it's just going to show the hour and the minute, yeah? So I'm going to go ahead and say time. I'm going to say global variable 151, that's our hour. GV 152. So that's effectively going to show our time. Pretty straightforward there. All right. Apply. I'm going to make this font size a little bigger. Okay. Now, I'm going to assume I always want my HUD to show up with that. So I'm going to go back to my entity definition, day-night cycler. I'm going to create one local switch. It's always going to be on, or it's always going to start on. I'm going to call this start HUD. Okay. I need to create one more script, paste that into here. Okay, so there's our cycle script. You may see this running a little bit slower. That's because this is a debug build. Okay, so we've got automatic. We're going to call this initialize HUD. And the condition for this is that our local switch start HUD is on, and it's automatic. And if that's the case, deleting all this, good. Then I'm going to open the HUD, open overlay, time HUD. If you wanted, you could store the ID and save it and handle that, but you don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to immediately change that switch for local to off. Cool. We're good there. All right, so now what should happen is it should start this up and initialize that, and then it should show our time after that. Okay? So I'm starting here already. I'm going to go ahead and add an ND reference for day-night cycler, and I'm going to play. And if I did this correctly, it should just work. I'm going to drag this over. There it is. Now I did not initialize the actual first variable, which I could have, and started at 0. But as you can see, it's incrementing. So that's our time. That is how you do day-night cycles. And then you could adjust things, if the hour is between 6 and 8 or something like that. But let's go ahead and play with this and be a little more insane here. So that basically says that a in-game minute lasts 50 milliseconds, but maybe we don't want it to. So let's go ahead and scroll down to here. Let's say it lasts, 5 milliseconds. That's great. Okay. It's going to go way faster now. It's going to bleed. Drag this over. There you go. Now it's going insane. Reasonably happy with this. Okay. So you could do some stuff with like formatting this and the like, but that's for another tutorial entirely. Now, let's say you want to do something even different. Say you want to have your screen essentially kind of change color. So in the cycle script, you could keep track of potentially some switches for your lighting. This will only apply for 3D. But we could effectively do this for 2D too if we kind of cheat it. I'll show you how to do that real quick. So I'm going to create a user interface and I'm going to call it, I'll create 2 of them. I'm going to call this, we'll call this one night. We'll call this one day/night. Okay. And what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to go ahead and create a picture. Ooh, big picture. Okay. I'm going to pull a Bert here. Oh, let's try actually using a sprite rather. And this is the worst way to do this possible. I'm just literally using what I've got right now. But let's go ahead and grab something here. I'm going to say it's one direction. I'm going to say that there's one frame. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. And I'm going to do, let's go with 16 by 16. I think that's actually maybe the size of the tiles. Okay, we're in around center, that's fine. So we're good there. Let's go ahead and see. I'm not sure if I allowed hope. I did not allow transparency for this, so I'm gonna actually have to do something a little bit better. So let's go ahead and create, use handy dandy paint.net. This is kind of my go-to editor. Let me drag this over so you can see it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna resize this image. Canvas size. Let's make this, it doesn't have to be big. 16 by 16, that's great. Zoom in. I'm gonna select all and delete. And now I'm gonna actually flood fill with a color of my choosing. My color is going to be partially transparent, and that's kind of the magic of this. So if I can find my color toolbox, which may be on the other screen or something like that. I think it's right here. No, that's something else. Oh, color wheel's right here. There we go. Here's my color. All right, so I could do black, but I'm going to make it slightly transparent. I'm actually going to go for like a dark blue. So let's go ahead and get that. Gonna go ahead and be our background color. So I'm gonna save this. I'll save this under my, oh, if you didn't know, I wrote the time elements piece. Okay, here's my test project. I'm gonna go under images. We'll put it under images. I'm gonna call this almost night. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and make it so it's really dark. Just a little bit more. We'll save this up. There we go. Looks good. And we'll save this as night. Okay. All right, so we've got this. Let's go ahead and look in our images folder again. All right, look, here it is. This is for day night. There we go. I'm happy with that. And you can see it's got partial transparency out here already. You can see we could hue shift this if we want, so if we want it to be a little different, we could do that. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. All right, so this is this. We've got almost night. Let's go ahead and use, it was almost night, right? Yeah. Then we'll go to night. We'll add another picture. This is taking up the entire thing. And realistically, I didn't have to use a sprite at this point. Since I've done this, I can just use a full image. You can see here, that's a little too dark, so go ahead and open up paint.net again. And we're gonna go back to our recent night. All right, in this one, we're gonna go ahead and select all. Let's actually grab the color from that. So that is the dropper here. Cool, I got my color, and see the alpha is probably a little too high for that, so I'm gonna delete. The other one was at like 167. This may be too much, so this is probably not what you need to do. Cool, save it. Okay, cool. So we're good. You're not gonna see it immediately here, but it did change. There you go, now you can see it. So now effectively we've got a night and a day/night, so that's a little lighter, okay? So let's go ahead and work on our entity script. So we'll go ahead and go to entity definitions, day-night cycler, and we can go ahead and make it, oh, this is the overlay. What we can do is we can say, we're adding an hour, right? So what we can say is we want a certain thing to occur. So let's go ahead and actually drop this one, okay? Let's add another element here. So we're gonna do this one for adding essentially a color to it, right? There are better ways to do this, just kind of bear with me. You can adjust the logic to your own desire. So what we're gonna say is the hour hits, oh, let's say let's say 1. No, we'll say 6. Okay, I'm just going crazy. We'll say 4. Okay, if it hits 4, then we're going to want to open up an overlay, and we're going to open the overlay day-night, right? We're also going to create one more variable. We'll go ahead and say user interface, and we're going to say close user interface. We're going to do it by user interface ID, and we're going to do we're going to go to this, and we had that time variable. We'll say we're going to call this guy overlay mask ID. Okay, so we're going to close down overlay mask ID. Now we're going to save the overlay mask, to the variable. So what this is going to do is delete anything that is already open. So if you have a, in this case it might be the night, we're going to change that. We're going to close it, and then we're going to open up a new one. And then we can put, we're actually going to just kind of copy this because there's no sense in not. So basically at 4 a.m. you'll have this day-night. And then we'll go ahead and say if the hour suddenly becomes 7, we're just going to delete this entirely. We don't need to open anything now. You're at full light. And then we could say, all right, we want to do another one where it goes to that kind of day-night color. Not at 7 a.m. We'll say at let's say 1800 hours, right? So that's roughly 6 p.m. American. Okay, we'll paste one more, and we're gonna say at, not at 1800 hours, we'll say at, we'll say that at 2100 hours is when it actually becomes really dark, and that's gonna go into night. Okay. So what this is doing is this is now going to show an overlay with this color on it based on the time. You could also probably set this up in your HUD, but you know, that is what it is. You could also detect if overlay is not open, look at the variable, and then figure out if you need to, and then set it. Okay, so we're gonna start. So this hour, if you remember from before, it didn't have a value. So I'm going to go ahead and initialize it right there. Okay. I didn't change anything. I just went ahead and initialized it there. So now, if I did this correctly, hopefully, what we'll see now is we'll see that initially it's going to start off at 0. Here it is running. But I believe by 4 a.m. is when we had kind of that day-night transparency. And it crashed.
Failure.
So, give me just a minute, and I will record again when I have this fixed.
A few moments later.
And as Bill O'Reilly would say, we'll do it live, so we will. So, this is a resuming. It only took me about a minute to figure out what was wrong and fix it, but I'll hopefully have this all cut out so it just works. There we go. So we're back here. The issue before was that it tried closing user interface and the variable was not formatted properly. So we should see, oh look, we've got that near dark kind of look. And by 7 a.m. it should open back up and go away. Or was it 8? Bum, ba-dum, bum. The logic is clearly not correct on this. Let's see what happens. Did not close the user interface like we were expecting. There's our dark. Well, that worked. Keep watching. At 4, it should hopefully change back. Yep, there we go. That looks good. And then for some reason, it's not actually getting rid of it by 7 a.m. So let's go ahead and see if there was an issue with that. typical script. Here we go. It may be that something was nested in something incorrectly. Okay, so we've got this. This checks if the hour is 24. Okay, that's fine. If the hour is 4, then we open that up. And then at hour equals 7. I don't know why it opened that. That's part of our problem. We forgot to delete that. There we go. That should make everything happy now. Alright, let's play with this one more time. That script was just slightly wrong. Drag this over. Here we go. At 4 o'clock, you'll see that little overlay for it being dark out. Yeah. And then as soon as it hits 7, it should close the overlay and we should be good to go. There we go. Now we're in our daytime. And just like that, I have a very rudimentary day-night cycle. And this will work for 2D or 3D, which is nice. But you could also do some other interesting things with the light by actually using some of our camera lighting commands. And you could change the direction of the light, so you could actually have the sun essentially rays from one side to the other. You could change the ambient color, the directional color. So you could essentially be creating the idea of like light with shadows and the whatnot, and sunlight has a very different overall color in the sky, where everything's very white for your ambient color. And you know, your directional color, when it comes to nighttime, could then be something else. Maybe it's a little bit lighter, right? Kind of this kind of darkish bluish color, right? When I say that, I mean let's actually make it darkish bluish. You know, this may be how you adjust your day-night, but that will only obviously work on 3D, because lighting only applies to 3D. But if I do this real quick just to show you what it would look like. That could be the color light you use at night, right? And you could change how the shadows come so that the shadows change based on this direction X, Y, Z changing. And you're seeing right now the overlay applying on top of that. So there are a lot of options here. Feel free to use them all. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash that bell, and or whatever else you're supposed to say for the YouTube algorithm. And find us on Steam. Thanks for watching.
Master